Whilst you're completely ignoring religious fundamentalist movements that are not motivated by U.S. intervention, but by cringe tradition, the countries will always be fucked. And I say we have a Kraut fan. No, this is in a low IQ position. The only thing that's always fucked here is your cognitive processes.
Oh my God.
The idea that people are just naturally gravitating towards extremism and, oh, the military intervention, the bombing, the dead families, that's just a coincidence. It's because the Book of Islam. No. Muslims in America are well integrated and generally moderate.
God damn it. Islam has an influence. It's not an all or none. Islam, yes, United States military intervention and all the other fucked up shit that they have done has an influence, but Islam is also an influence.
There's nothing wrong with Islam, at least no more so than...
Wait, there's nothing wrong with Islam?
Oh,
rated and generally moderate. There's nothing wrong with Islam, at least no more so than any other major religion. No more so...
Okay. All other major religions are shit religions. They all are a major source of problem, but Islam is the worst because Islam is inherently more political than all of them combined. Like it's all of them are a major source of destruction, but Islam is the most powerful source for government intervention. It's the most perfectly designed ideology for that.
And then Christian. By the way, you know it's Christianity that's destroying the world right now, right? Christians right here who operate the American government are the ones who are leading the flagship towards climate disaster. They are.
That's true. That's true. But again, so wait a minute. So hold on. Does Susie, does Christianity have an influence over that?
Yeah.
Okay. So if we can acknowledge that Christianity has an influence over how destructive Christians are when it comes to global warming and stuff like that, why can't we acknowledge that Islam has an influence on how destructive Islamic organizations and governments are?
Well, he did say that it has an influence, but no more than any other major religion.
Okay, but it's like, but he was maybe suggesting that it has no influence, no?
No,
but this is like a whataboutism because
no more than any other major religion.
So then that proves the point that his live chat was making, because this is like if he's agreeing that Christianity has an influence over how destructive these Western Republicans are when it comes to fucking the planet, then that means religion has a role. So why can't Islam have a role over how destructive these groups are?
They are the ones who are steering this planet into the only difference is that Christians as a whole in America are wealthy and powerful enough that they can do damage without having to rely on arms sales, that they can do damage without having to rely on individually putting themselves in harm's way. You can do 1,000,000 times more damage to the world in a suit behind a desk than you ever could holding an AK-47 assembling an IED while an American van rolls around the next mountain pass.
Hey guys, before we get back to that video, YouTube has fully demonetized our channel for supposedly hateful and harmful conduct. Without telling us what we did wrong. If we get to 1,000 patrons, we will be able to keep paying all our team, our editors, our artists without ever having to worry about monetization again, which would be amazing. Yay! So please support Atheist Republic on Patreon. Link in the description below.
See, so here's a good analogy for you, okay, Susie? So the amount of damage that the GOP is doing to the planet is both the influence of politics and the power they have and the religion they have. Okay, so for example, the Christians in Mexico or the Christians in Philippines are not having their Christian ideology is not as destructive to the planet as the Christians in the GOP. Okay, so yes, politics has a role, because if it was just religion and if it was not power and influence and politics, then these other Christians would have the same level of destruction, and they don't. The GOP is being more destructive to the planet than these other Christians. So yes, politics and socioeconomic factors has an influence, but so is Christianity, because if the GOP was not this moronic, this religious, they would be less destructive. So Christianity also has a role. Right. So similarly, in these radical, like Iran's government being authoritarian, the geopolitical situation at the time, at that place in Iraq, with ISIS, with Hezbollah in Lebanon and everywhere. Yes, the fact that they're being the intervention by the United States has had a very destructive influence of what the situation is at that place. But without Islam, the problem would be less damaging. Yes, it would still be bad, but if you remove religion from the equation, it would be less. It would be less of a. There would be less misery. There will still be misery because of the bad policies by Western countries, but there will be less misery. It's not a bind, but Islam has an influence. And guess what? If the GOP was as bad as Christianity's influence is on the GOP, I'm pretty sure if the GOP was Islamic, it would be even worse. Okay, it would be horrible. Okay, so here, yeah, religion, when you have more influence, the reason why Christianity might be damaging the planet right now more than Islam is because the people who have the most influence over the planet, the world police, are more influenced by Christianity than Islam. Okay, but it's true, Christianity is fucking the planet more. However, it's true, I think, that if the superpower of the planet right now was Islamic, it would be it would be a lot worse. I'm just guessing, but let's continue.
Infinitely more damage. No, all problems can be fixed. The problem is an issue between eternal religious fundamentalism. You're unbelievably ignorant about the topic. It's amazing. Wow, it's okay.
Oh my God, these people who say you're unbelievably ignorant, they're usually the people that have the least nuanced takes. They have nothing to say. They only say you're unbelievably ignorant. They have nothing to say. They just empty. Because if they had something to say, they would just make that point instead of saying you're unbelievably ignorant. And like as much as I disagree with so many of the takes that Vosh is having, he's a lot more nuanced than most of his live chat.
Okay, you know what? I guess we're gonna throw this out there too. Wow. Okay, guys, what did Iran look like in the 1950s?
Oh my God!
We want to find some picture here. Hold on.
Oh my God!
Let's take a look.
Yes, it was women studying within skirts. Yes.
Now that's
yes, United States. Okay,
that's
here.
An interesting. Wow, geez. This looks like an American university. I mean,
what? This is the American-centric perspective, so it's good because it looks like American. I'm being
that's not what he means.
I know. I'm just pretending to be a wokey. Okay, so yes, United States screwed up. They removed the people's choice. And they basically reinstalled an authoritarian, and they basically got in the way of democracy, and that led to a backlash, which brought the Islamic government back. Yeah. True. United States screwed up Iran. Okay. However, it wasn't just the United States. Let's also blame the Shah for trying to force secularism and westernization on people, and the people's and basically any form of resistance to that, the authoritarian way of Reza Shah ended up popularizing the resistance movements, which the most organized versions of that was the Ayatollah, the mullahs at that time, and also let's also blame the mullahs maybe, and the fact that Islam. Let's also blame Islam, right? I'm just saying it's not the binary thing. It's not United States screwed up Iran and religion had no influence. Okay, the damage that was made to Iran because of the Islamic Revolution of 1979 would have not been this bad if it wasn't because of the role of religion. Okay, yes. Keep telling everybody how bad United States government was because it's true. It's true. But please also blame Islam. You can do both.
now that was literally only in Kabul and major cities. Yeah, no shit.
Only in Kabul, a major cities. Kabul is in Afghanistan, not Iran.
Go to American backwoods
Well,
and see what it looks like there.
No, I think he's
There's-
talking about oftentimes people show pictures of Afghanistan in the 1970s versus now,
Right.
where it's like full burqa. That's what they're referring to. People,
No, but they're saying that, like, they're saying that if even back then in Iran, if you went to like parts of Tehran and like not in the universities, or you go to smaller cities, you will see a lot more religious people, a lot more head covering, right? So that's the point that somebody in the live chat, I think that's what the point was. But the thing is that, okay, sure, but that was their choice. The women that were covering in Iran back then, they were like, not during Reza Shah time, but during Muhammad Reza Shah time, they were covering because they wanted to cover, and these women didn't cover because they didn't want to cover. So the fact that some women were covering, do you think that was a sign of backwardness? I mean, that's their secularism. You cover your head if you want.
Also, across the world, urban centers are more liberal.
Yeah, exactly. Like so this person is like, oh, that's just the universities and the major cities. Like, okay, well, now that's happening nowhere because everybody's forced to wear a hijab. So I'm pretty sure, like, what is that point? Like, yeah, so it's worse right now. So even now you see that nowhere.
You know why things changed? It's not because they all suddenly read the Quran. It's because...
Okay, it's not because they all suddenly read the Quran, but the people who think that the Quran is what you should be, the people who think that the law of the land should be based on the Quran, they became the most powerful. So yes, it's not, most Muslims haven't even read the Quran, and even the ones who read the Quran, they're not like robots that you insert the Quran and have to follow the Quran verbatim. It doesn't work like that, right? However, do not dismiss the influence of the Quran, because the people, again, I'm not dismissing the influence of the United States, but the Quran and Islam has a role, because the people that became the powerful ones were the people that thought that the Quran should be the rule of the land.
Material conditions changed the people in power and changed the things that people were afraid of. Okay? People don't just read the Quran and then their brain rewires and they're suddenly radical extremists.
True. And not only that, they don't even read the Quran. Most Muslims have never read the Quran.
Material conditions dictate people's degrees of extremism. Socioeconomic conditions, not just family wealth, because I'm pretty sure terrorist groups tend to have a lot of people from upper middle class families, but
they're leaders. Not all of them.
He's also being very reductionist about this. It's not purely about your geopolitical climate.
No.
It's also, there are individual vulnerabilities that play into this as well.
Right.
Conditions, social conditions, like imperialism.
You could say all of this and still not dismiss the influence of religion.
I mean, look at what the Native Americans did after we invaded the American continent.
They didn't do radical.
There are actually really interesting books on how their...
Wait, that's actually a good point. They never became this radical.
Religious and military tendencies changed after we arrived.
True, but
a lot of colonizers, they thought they were just naturally savage people, the Native Americans. When in reality, as it turns out, being invaded by foreign powers, having your democratic leaders disposed, having your neighboring countries fall apart and crumble into a collection of terrorist groups, that actually fucks you up a little bit.
I mean, your country dropped 2 nukes on Japan, and now you're buddies within like less than 1 generation. They're like one of the most...
It's not that simple.
I know it's not, but that's my point. It's not that... My point is, like, it's not that simple.
There are people in Charlotte.
I mean, it's the third most biggest economically country, like the biggest economy, third biggest economy in the world. Like, where's the radical Japanese people? Anyways,
right now who are acting as though I'm the one taking a reductionist position.
Oh, yeah.
When their argument is just Islam bad. You people are the reason why we can't fix these problems. You realize that, right?
See, Vash, that's exactly what you're doing. Yes, they're idiots if they're saying it's just Islam, but you are also saying it's just American intervention. You're both being reductionist. So you're saying they're telling me I'm being reductionist, but they're being reductionist. You're both being reductionist.
Darko, you people.
World where very slight differences were made, where Western Europe and America are thriving Western Islamic countries, and there is a shitbed Christian fundamentalist majority in the Middle East. There is absolutely no reason why that world could not exist. And people in that world would be saying that Christianity is just naturally violent, that it's the religious extremism.
Christianity is naturally violent.
God, look at the text of their book.
It
No.
True.
No.
Wait, no. Christianity is naturally violent. Have you read the Bible? What's wrong with that argument?
If you fix conditions, you fix problems. So let's fix conditions.
Oh my God.
I mean, I was going to do another Godwin with Adolf's book. If you... I'm not going to do
And by the way, none of what I've said
I'm going to do only one Godwin per stream.
discounts any of the internal religious conflicts in the Middle East. Do you think those religious conflicts may have been exacerbated by Western imperialism, by us drawing borders, by us depriving them of resources, by us funneling money into insurgent groups, by us deposing their leaders? Do you think any of that might have had an effect?
Yes, and Islam, all of that, and Islam.
All of you to adopt what I was taught is called the sociological imagination, to reject essentialist explanations for complex issues.
I'm surprised he didn't mention that United States basically originally funded the Mujahideen in Afghanistan that led to Al-Qaeda, and Al-Qaeda imprisoning Baghdadi and putting in American prisons in Iraq and putting him next to other radicals and getting him an influence, like getting a free audience like that. It was basically also an American thing. Like, I'm surprised he didn't mention those. Like that, those are all the influence of United States intervention that led to both Al-Qaeda and ISIS. But again, I say that, and I also blame Islam.
Issues like Islam just makes you radical, and instead think about
not just Islam does make you radical, but not just
the ways in which people are built by their environments.
It's both. It's both. It's both. It's both.
What about the colonial borders in the Middle East? Yeah, you mean when Western powers drew lines in the sand and forced tribes together that didn't have anything in common and previously hated each other, but now they were forced to be a state? Yep, we did that in Africa too. Led to
in India too, with Pakistan started one of the worst.
A lot of problems down the line.
A lot of
long-standing resentment.
True.
Do you think there might be a reason? You know, if I recall... Wait, hold on. Vosh, Islam is far more restrictive and totalitarian. Christianity doesn't require things like head coverings.
No! Oh my God. Okay. That's not the reason why Islam is worse. If you
wait, I want to see what he's going to respond to that. How would he respond to that?
Christianity doesn't let you wear mixed fabrics.
True.
The only reason why Islam expresses itself in a more fundamentalist way is because it comes from socioeconomically.
The only reason?
Not the only reason.
Dude.
Okay.
It's because it's the direct and perfect word of Allah, uncreated. No.
Actually,
it's an absolutist totalitarian ideology.
Okay, that's not the main reason, in my opinion. Okay, so here's the thing: Christianity, Judaism are extremely restrictive, very restrictive. Okay, so that is not, in my opinion. Okay, and let's be honest, Islam is more restrictive than Christianity, but not more restrictive than Judaism. Judaism, because when it comes to laws and regulation and what you're supposed to do, Islam and Judaism are
intense,
take over all of your life, right?
Really anal retentive.
Over everything, okay? When it comes to personal life, okay? So here's the thing. Christianity, less restrictive. Judaism, more restrictive. When it comes to personal life, very comparable to Islam when it comes to personal life. But now when we get to politics and ruling over people, nothing competes with Islam over that, okay? this is why Islam is way more political religion than any other religion out there. The very simplistic way for you guys to put this in perspective is just to understand that if you could simplify, reduce Christianity's way of life into one sentence, is do what Jesus did, right? And follow Jesus's way. And if you could reduce Islam into one phrase, simplistic, I know this is very simplistic, is follow Muhammad's way. And by Muhammad's way, I'm also talking about his revelation, which is the Quran. So his Sunnah and his Quran. But if you look at Jesus, Jesus and Muhammad, their stories are they both were rebels that rose up against the religious authority at their time. The difference between these two stories is that Jesus was lost and got crucified, right? Jesus was killed before he didn't manage to have a government, a caliphate, or anything like that. Like, he didn't rule over people. And Muhammad was victorious, and he destroyed the Quraysh, and he ruled. So we have a lot of examples from Muhammad's life on what to do when you're ruling and how to rule. And that makes Islam, and again, I'm not saying Christianity doesn't have inherently political verses. It does. There's a lot of things that kings and queens have been using in the Bible for hundreds of years as a way to justify how they're ordained by God and why they can crush people as the way they are. Okay, I'm not saying Christianity doesn't have inherently political excuses that is useful for the propaganda of authoritarians. It does, but Islam has that 1,000 times over. It's the best dogma out there for authoritarians and for radical movements. If you wanted to make a religion that could be used by both militia, radical groups, and authoritarian governments, you couldn't do better than Islam, okay? I'm not dismissing how destructive Christianity has been. Given that GOP has so much influence over the world and they be influenced by Christian, the destructive nature of Christianity is astronomically high on the planet. But inherently, the text of Islam is a lot worse. It's a lot more useful to people that want to do a lot of damage by brainwashing people. So, yeah.
Jesus, have you read the Bible?
Yes, bad.
There's tons of stupid shit in there.
Yes, I have.
There are Christians who lived in fuck parts of the world. There are Christian minorities in parts of the Middle East.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know what? They don't act like our Christians. They're a little bit more radical.
Wait, what? No. Christian minorities? Usually minorities behave very well. Wait, am I getting this wrong? Christian minorities in Iran and in Egypt
or Pakistan have to tread on eggshells.
They're not radical. You behave this badly when you're majority, and so it's an influence of both socioeconomic factors and religion and having the power. When you are a minority and you're the group that is being wronged, you're on your best behavior. I mean, look at the Muslims no, that's not a fair comparison, because the Muslims, I'm saying Muslims in North America, but they're not fair about the Muslims in Europe. But usually minorities are pretty well behaved. The Christians in Egypt and Iran, they're not radical.
Jesus.
What Christian groups do you think he's referring to that they're radical?
What's wrong with you people today?
What are you referring?
Why everyone is so insistent on it's Islam?
It
Jesus
is.
Christ. You willing to bet?
It's like he never talked to you.
Come on, Vash. You hate religion. Come on, Vash. You said religion is cringe. It is Islam to some extent. To a huge extent. Don't dismiss the role of religion. I think
he's just talking about people who are just make it 100% a religious argument.
Okay.
Slightly familiar with any of the tenets of the Quran, which I am, by the way, not. I don't even know why we're having this conversation.
Well, I am.
Religious fundamentalism.
It sucks.
When we know religious fundamentalism stems from radicalization.
And Islam. And religion. itself, and the text, and the scripture. The scripture has an influence, Vash. Do you think the Mayans, when they were being Vash, when the Mayans were doing human sacrifice, I'm pretty sure it was somewhat the influence of like the internal politics that they were having with the other tribes around them, and they're sending a message. And also it also has the fact that their religion also said that the gods one blood, I think also had some influence on that.
I've actually heard a different theory.
Really? Okay.
People from the Middle East are literally telling you the internal conflicts we came from. It's upsetting. Yeah, that's not an argument. Yeah, you think if you ask somebody in Iran, yeah, I bet they'll tell you that the problems in their part of the world come from certain thing. And if you ask a person in Iraq or Afghanistan, they'll tell you something else, okay? Yeah, people are beholden to the material conditions that they live in. But if you ask a scholar who studies the Middle East, or if you ask, you know, people who are educated enough to rise above the propaganda inherent to living in a country with an invested interest, you might find different answers.
Oh my God, this is great. He's telling a lefty audience that scholarly work and academic analysis is superior to personal bias lived experiences. This is so good. This is something his like lefty audience need to hear. Good, good, good. I like that.
All right.
Yeah, especially if you're living under Iran, you're gonna in Iran or in Iraq, you're gonna have very biased experiences. You know, especially if you're not paying attention to data.
All right, we can't. I don't know why all the Sam Harris sites are here in chat. We'll do this later.
Why is it?
Women weren't allowed to drive cars without their husband's consent here in Germany till the 60s, and rape in marriage wasn't outlawed until 1998 here in Germany. Yeah, here in America it was till like the 1970s that women could open bank accounts on their own. For fuck's sake, we had 100 years war between Catholics in France and Protestants with the Church of England.
Yes, so the Enlightenment that Europe went through was a war against religion. So you're admitting that. So why are you guys denying that to the Middle East? So the reason why things got better in Western Europe is because of a movement, an Enlightenment movement that was partly against religion, the influence of religion on people's lives. So why are you not prescribing that medicine to the Middle East? So if we want to see the same results, maybe we need movements inside the Middle East that is also against the influence of religion. You just proved my point.
Like, Jesus.
Yeah, you just proved my point. Hey, didn't you, what, Suze?
Yeah, we're still fighting for abortion. I don't know how anyone can see how Christians behave
Did you not
themselves
just
in the
prove
United
our
States
point?
of America and then go to like sneer at Islam in the Middle East.
You just said, but he just, Suze, he just said the thing. He just said the thing, and then he said the other thing. Do you see that? Do you see my point? He like, oh, women used to be like this, and then they get to do this, and we had the Catholic Church, and then people fought against it. Yeah, can we have the same thing in the Middle East? Like,
your voice got such a high register.
The same push against the Catholic Church that we had in Western Europe because of the Enlightenment movement. Can we have that against Islam? Maybe in the Middle East, like. Yes, more like you're saying that's how things got better. Well, we want the same thing. What? God.
Hey guys, if you're a fan of blasphemy and sexy Kali, you know, like me, then that means that you probably want more blasphemous art. Well, I have good news for you. If you subscribe to our newsletter, link in the description below, then you get a free booklet of some of the tastiest blasphemous art available today. So if you want some of this delicious blasphemy, and we're so generous that we update it for you guys weekly for free, all you have to do is sign up for our newsletter below. You can also go to blasphemousart.com/ebook. That's blasphemousart.com/ebook. Sign up with your email, and you get free gifts of this tasty blasphemy. What could be better? So make sure you sign up, link below,